The dealership was buzzing that morning, polished floors, chrome gleaming under bright lights, and the smell of fresh leather in the air. It was the kind of place where people came to spend money they wanted others to see. So when he walked in, the ragged man with a dusty coat, muddy boots, and a scruffy beard that looked like it hadn't met a razor in months, everyone went quiet for a second. Then came the laughter. "Sir, the service entrance is on the side," the receptionist said politely, trying not to smirk. But the man just looked around the showroom, eyes calm, unbothered by the stares. "I'm here to buy trucks," he said. The salesman exchanged glances. One of them, Mark, stepped forward, half amused. "Sure, buddy. What kind of truck are we talking about?" The man's voice was steady, almost too calm. "Mercedes Actros. I'll take 5. A few people snickered. Mark chuckled. 5 Mercedes trucks? That's almost $1 million. The ragged man nodded. "I know." Mark played along. "Do you, have a business?" The man reached into his old, faded coat. For a moment, Mark expected a wad of crumpled bills, maybe a sad wallet. But instead, the man pulled out a simple envelope, crisp and official-looking, and handed it over. Mark opened it. Then froze. Inside was a bank draft for $1.2 million, addressed to Mercedes Commercial Division. The laughter stopped. Completely. The manager hurried over. "Sir, I apologize if there was any misunderstanding." The ragged man smiled slightly. "No misunderstanding. I need those trucks delivered within 2 weeks, to the address on the back." The manager flipped the paper. It was a rural town up north, a name barely anyone recognized. Mark, still trying to recover, asked, "May I ask what the trucks are for?" The man looked him in the eye. "For people who've been forgotten." No one understood what he meant, not yet. 2 weeks later, curiosity got the better of Mark. He took a day off and drove to that tiny town, following the address written on that paper. When he arrived, he saw the 5 gleaming Mercedes trucks, but not in a business lot. They were parked beside a large community center surrounded by dozens of families. Kids were laughing, elderly folks were helping unload boxes, and a banner read, "Mark blinked." He got out of his car, looking for the ragged man. He finally found him, wearing the same dusty coat, sleeves rolled up, unloading supplies from one of the trucks. "Mr. Dawson?" Mark called out. The man turned, smiling faintly. "Oh, you made it. I had to see this," Mark said. "What is all this?" The ragged man gestured around. "Flood wiped out most of this town last winter. Farms, homes, everything gone. So I decided to help rebuild." Mark stared. "But, how?" You looked like I didn't belong in a Mercedes showroom." Dawson said, his eyes kind but sharp. "That's all right. I get that a lot." He paused, then added, "My company made good money years ago. But money doesn't mean much if it can't lift someone else back up." Mark felt a lump in his throat. He watched as Dawson handed a little boy a box of supplies. The boy hugged him, calling him Mr. D. "You do this often?" Mark asked softly. Dawson shrugged. "As often as I can. Sometimes, I wear the fancy suit. Sometimes, I dress like this. I like to see who still treats me like a human being." Mark's chest tightened. He remembered how he had laughed. How all of them had laughed. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Mark stayed to help unload the last truck. Before leaving, he said quietly, "If you ever need more trucks, call me. I'll make sure you get them, no questions, no laughter." Dawson smiled warmly. "I believe you." Months later, the dealership received a letter. It was handwritten, simple. Thank you for your service. Because of your trucks, 20 families have homes again. Sometimes, a man in rags carries more gold than those in suits. Never forget that. R. Dawson. Attached was a check for another 5 trucks. But this time, nobody laughed. Instead, they stood quietly, humbled. Because they finally understood, kindness isn't always dressed in silk. Sometimes, it walks in with dusty boots, speaking softly, and leaves behind something far more valuable than money. When that letter arrived, the entire dealership fell silent. The general manager, usually a man with a voice like thunder, stood there quietly reading the note, once, twice, 3 times, as if trying to make sure the words were real. Because of your trucks, 20 families have homes again. The room was heavy with guilt and awe. Every single employee remembered that day, the ragged coat, the laughter, the smirks. Now those same people couldn't even look each other in the eye. Mark, the salesman who had laughed the loudest, felt it the most. He couldn't stop thinking about that man, Mr. Dawson. The kindness in his eyes. The humility in his voice. The quiet strength of someone who didn't need to prove his worth to anyone. Mark sat at his desk long after closing time that day, the letter still in his hand. He whispered to himself. He gave us $1 million lesson, and we almost missed it. A few months passed. Winter came early that year, and the small mountain towns up north were hit again, this time by a brutal snowstorm. Roads were blocked, power lines down, supplies running out. Mark watched the news one night and saw the name flash across the screen, Mountain Hope Town. The same place Mr. Dawson had helped.